This morning we have the opportunity to write just a little bit of that next chapter by acknowledging, affirming, and celebrating James Gott, a member of this community who has found the courage to live into his truth as a transgender young man. We will share together in a brief renaming liturgy, which is adapted from Unitarian minister Laura Bogle. Additionally, you are invited to write a message of affirmation and love for James in the insert that you'll find in your bulletin. If you do choose to write a message, just drop it in the offering plate and we will make sure that James receives it. James, I invite you to come forward. Many of you have known James for years. As the child of Chris and Leanna Gott and the grandchild of Lynn and Linda Miller, James has deep roots in this congregation. You can stand here. Although the name James may be new to some of you, James is the same person that you have known and loved. If anything, he is more himself than ever before, more connected to his heart and soul and God-given identity. James wants to share just a few words with us, and then we'll join together in the litany of affirmation.
Good morning. I would just like to talk real quick about my labels, because I understand that they can be confusing and hard to understand. I know they definitely were for me when I was figuring it out, as I am figuring it out, I guess. I identify as a transgender, heterosexual, panromantic, demisexual, polyamorous man. Which is a lot. For me, being transgender means that my gender is not the same as my sex, which is the gender that I was assigned at birth. I was assigned female, but I identify as male. I am heterosexual, which, as most of you probably know, means I am sexually attracted to the opposite gender, in this case, women. Panromantic is a term that most of you probably have not heard. I actually didn't even hear it until earlier this year. But as soon as I heard it and knew what it meant, I knew it was right. Panromantic basically means that I am romantically attracted to people regardless of gender, which means I could be in a relationship with someone of any of the dozens of genders, but I would only be sexually attracted to this person if they were a woman or female presenting. I'm also demisexual, which means I have to have an emotional bond with the person who I am dating before I can feel a sexual attraction. I'm personally not quite sure what that means for me, along with the next label I present you, which is polyamorous, which means that it means different things for different people, and I am really not sure what it means for me yet. But what I do know is that I would be happy in a relationship with multiple people. I know it can be hard to understand just because it isn't the norm anywhere, really. But it basically means I would be dating multiple people, and these people would also be dating each other as well as me. I know that these terms can be very confusing, maybe even bizarre to you. I know they definitely are to me still. But so just feel free to ask me any and all questions you might have, even if you think they might be rude or it's really weird questions. Those are personally my favorite questions, the bizarre questions no one thinks to ask. And I might not answer some of them just because I'm not comfortable, but I would love for you to ask, because I might give you a bit of the answer, or I might give you the whole answer. And I know that it might be hard to adjust to the new name and the new pronouns, but I just appreciate you trying and doing your best. And when I correct you, because I know everyone is going to mess up, I I may sound annoyed. I'm not in the slightest, because I understand how difficult it is to switch to a different name, to a different pronoun. But I appreciate you trying, and I know that correcting you will only help. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And I know from working with James, getting ready for today, that he really means it. He welcomes your questions, your curiosities, and I think that's a beautiful thing. In the Bible, giving a new name symbolizes new callings, new identities, new promises, and possibilities. James, the name that you have chosen, symbolizes who God has called you to be, who you truly are, and who you are becoming. As your church family, we see you and we recognize you as James, a young man blessed and loved by God, your Creator. Today is also a turning point for all of us. We have known and loved this young person by another name, but we now have the opportunity to know and love him as the young man that he truly is, as James. This calls us to put our beliefs in action by embracing the fullness of who James is, and in turn, embracing the fullness of all people. And so, beloved community of First Mennonite Church, I ask you, will you do all that you can to welcome and affirm James in our life together in this congregation? If so, say we will. Will you support him and support each other on this journey of becoming all that God has called us to be? If so, say we will. Will you admit your mistakes, be bold in asking for and receiving forgiveness, and always strive to do better and love more deeply? If so, say we will. James, you are seen, you are affirmed, and you are loved by God and by this community. Will you all join me in a prayer of blessing and gratitude? God of expansive love and unending welcome, we give thanks for James, his courage, his truth, and his willingness to share his journey with each one of us. Bless James, renew his spirit, and keep him safe from all harm. Thank you also for your spirit present with us in our discomfort, surprising us with possibilities, growing with us and in us, and abounding in love. May each one of us live with integrity and come to know the truth of our divine belovedness. Amen.